Hi, and welcome to the first show in March of News You Can Use. Hooray, we've made it through January and February. We're going to tell you today about an event coming up that benefits a number of students throughout the state, athletes and students involved in a wonderful program called Best Buddies Delaware. It's a basketball game coming up. You'll hear all the details on today's show, and we hope that you buy tickets or become involved in this program. We'll also stay with us. We've also got some other events coming up in Red Clay that you may be interested in, and hope that you enjoy today's show. Thank you very much. Hello, and welcome to News You Can Use. I'm your host, Patty Nash. On today's show, we're going to focus on the upcoming Blue Gold All-Star Basketball Games. It's really a fun-filled day for the whole family, and it benefits a great cause. So you may want to get a pen to jot down how you can get tickets. Here on today's show to tell us about the event is attorney Larry Kimmel, chair of the Blue Gold Basketball Board of Trustees, and Tom Waite, who is the state director of Best Buddies Delaware. We'll first hear from Mr. Kimmel. Welcome to News You Can Use.
Thank you for having me, Patty.
Okay, well, I did not want to steal your thunder, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the All-Star Games?
Sure. So the Blue Gold Basketball All-Star Games, this is our 20th year of the games. These are the top senior boys and girls basketball players in the state of Delaware, and they play in one game. It's always the week after the championship game every year. This year it's Saturday, March 17th on St. Patty's Day, and it's an all-star game where the best players will play possibly the last organized game that they'll ever play. Possibly some will be going on to play in college, and others that may not already have college scholarships may get a college scholarship by the other coaches from college that are there to watch them play. Mm-hmm. So it's really a fun-filled day of lots of different activities that also take place throughout the day.
Okay. I'm sure it's a thrill for these students to be part of this game. How were they selected? How do you get your roster of players?
Sure. So it's selected by the coaches. The coaches pick really the seniors on their team that they think are the best to represent that school. And they really student athletes that have played together for years. Most of them have really been at the top of their game really throughout high school. Mm-hmm. And they may have been dominating throughout high school, but now they get to play together in an all-star game. And now they all know each other from different camps and just growing up together in Delaware. Mm-hmm. So they really enjoy it, and you can tell that they really get along well and have just a fun time playing together during the games.
Okay. So on average, or this year, there's 19 school districts in Delaware. How many are represented at the games?
We have 13 different school districts represented at the games. Mm-hmm. Really, when you look at the roster, you have student athletes representing most of the schools throughout the state of Delaware, both between the boys and the girls. So there's the blue teams from the north, and there's sort of 15 boys from the north and 15 girls from the north that represent the blue teams. Mm-hmm. And the gold team are 15 boys and 15 girls representing the gold, or the southern state part of Delaware. And the blue play against the gold, of course, for boys and then for girls. So it's very well represented throughout the state.
Okay, at the end of the show, we'll run a roster, a list of all the students statewide who've been selected for the games. We're proud to say that 4 Red Clay schools are represented on the teams. So we'll be out there to cheer on our players. What is the schedule? Are both games played the same day, or how does that work?
Sure. So I can talk a little bit about the schedule of the games. The games, as I already stated, were on Saturday, St. Patty's Day, March 17th. The Bob Carpenter Center is where the games are held. We open up the Bob Carpenter Center at 12 o'clock. We have a VIP reception. And that reception is really for different sponsorships that have given money to help the games get put on, but also all the benefits go to Best Buddies Delaware. Mm-hmm. So not only are we just putting on this incredible day of events for the student athletes, but it's also raising around $100,000 every year for Best Buddies Delaware, which Tom Waite will be on to talk a little bit about. The girls' game starts at 1 o'clock. During halftime of the girls' game, we have a 3-point contest where the The All-Stars compete in a three-point contest.
Mm-hmm.
In between the boys and girls game, the boys game takes place after the girls game, usually starting around 3:30ish.
Okay.
But in between the boys and girls game, we have something that's new this year. It's the dribble, drive, and shoot finalists.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, even though it's our 20th year of the games, it's our first year where we actually added a fifth event, and I can touch on the others briefly, where the 4th graders through 12th graders throughout the state of Delaware all competed in a contest over Super Bowl weekend this past year, about a month ago. And it involved making a foul shot, a layup, and a three-pointer. And the top times who could complete a three-pointer, a foul shot, and a layup all compete in the finalists between the boys and girls game.
Oh, okay.
So it's a really neat event. It gets everyone throughout the state of Delaware involved from 4th grade through 12th grade. So it's not just the seniors in high school now competing. Now you have 4th through 12th graders all competing to try to win this event.
I'm sure it's the first time a lot of these kids are, playing in the Bob in front of this large crowd, and
That's
it's a big deal.
That's
it's a
exactly right.
Big deal.
Yeah.
So you did touch on it briefly, but this is, not only is it a celebration of the students and the athletes, but it also is a fundraiser at its heart, and it benefits who?
Yeah, it benefits Best Buddies Delaware, really a great organization that really puts developmental and students together and links them with, and I like to give an example. I know it does a lot more than just this, but it'll put buddies together. Maybe it's the senior basketball star or the football star, and it buddies them up with someone who's maybe not in that league and doesn't have a lot of friends, and suddenly that person's now out and their whole life is changed. And it's really just a great organization. So we're really proud supporters of Best Buddies Delaware. I know Tom Waite's going to be on to talk a little bit more about that.
That's right. We have Best Buddies is in some of our schools, and I've seen over the years the different events that they've done. And where can folks get tickets?
Sure. So you can find tickets if you go to Best Buddies Delaware, or if you go to Blue Gold. And you type in Blue Gold Basketball Delaware, and most people now would just go on Google. You can find tickets right on there.
Okay.
Those are tickets just for the game day. But we also have a banquet that takes place 2 days before the game day that people are welcome to attend as well. The banquet's on Thursday night. That's Thursday, March 15th. It's held down at Del Tech. We sell out the banquets. That's where we really honor the students, and we give them trophies, and we have a whole banquet just for them, really honoring their accomplishments. We also honor 3 community leadership awards this year. Those community leadership awards are going to Colonel Nate McQueen. He's the Colonel of the Delaware State Police, just for all of the work that he's done. It's not just the people that give money every year, but a lot of organizations throughout the Delaware volunteer their time. The state police, the county police, the city police, Discover Card, a lot of different organizations are always giving their time. So we honor Nate McQueen this year, Colonel Nate McQueen. We're also honoring our U.S. Representative Lisa Rochester Blunt as the Community Leadership Award. And we're also honoring Vance Funk, Mayor Vance Funk, who's just been a legend throughout Delaware for decades and decades. So we're really happy to honor them at the banquet. And I touch a little bit on the events leading up to the games, but we also have a practice the Tuesday before the games, where the student athletes practice, but then we also bring in speakers. We bring in Supreme Court justices and doctors and lawyers to talk about life after basketball, because a lot of the student athletes aren't going to be NBA players. So we kind of explain to them, look, there is life after this to support your family and how important that is. And then the Wednesday, in between the practice and the banquet on Wednesday, we bring all the student athletes down to Dover, Delaware, and they get to hear from a Superior Court judge, Judge Clark this year, talk about our court system. They also have a lunch with Patty Daly-Lewis coming to speak to us, and they also get to go to Legislative Hall, and during a live session of the House of Representatives, they actually walk down during the live session, introduce themselves, introduce their schools, and get to talk for a little bit at the live session. And then I introduce them to the governor, and the governor spends about over 45 minutes with them, John Carney. So it's really an incredible day of events for the student athletes that they look back on later on in life and realize how special it is.
It's a lot more, and not to just nothing, that a game is not a small thing, but it sounds like there's a lot more involved than just a game when you're selected.
It's a whole week of
as
events.
An all-star. Yeah.
It's a week of events, and a lot of these students have never played at the Bob Carpenter Center before.
Right.
So that's an honor, and I think they really enjoy the whole day and really the whole week leading up to it.
Okay, great. Well, we'll put the information at the bottom of the screen on where you can get tickets on March 17th at the Bob. And best of luck to you. I hope all the events and the game goes terrific. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Come out, support us. Come out to the games. Let's sell out the Bob Carpenter Center. We've sold it out in the past, and we hope we can sell it out this year. And come help support Best Buddies Delaware.
Okay, great. So please stay with us. Next up, we're going to be talking with Tom Waite. He is the director of Best Buddies Delaware, and you'll hear why this is such a valuable program in our state. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
You are watching EdTV.
When?
Now.
You are watching EdTV.
You're watching EDTV. EdTV, okay.
It doesn't look like a big cow.
That's all, folks.
Hi, and welcome back to News You Can Use. Next up, we're going to welcome Mr. Tom Waite. He is the State Director of Best Buddies Delaware. And rather than hear from me, we're going to ask him to tell us about Best Buddies. Tell us about the program.
Thanks, Patty. Appreciate being here. Our vision is creating more inclusive schools, more inclusive communities, more inclusive workplaces. And we do that by creating opportunities for one-to-one friendship between individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their typical peers, individuals without disabilities, and build friendships that way. And of course, people say, well, friendship, that's nice. And of course it is. Who wouldn't want another friend or more than that? But it's also important for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities because it's creating a support system for them. Mm-hmm. It is enhancing their social skills, their personal communication and understanding of relationships. And it is also breaking down barriers in the community that individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, we have way more in common than we do in differences. Mm-hmm. And it's just an opportunity to break down those barriers. And we have programs in middle schools, high schools, colleges, and an adult program for our Citizens program for adults. Mm-hmm. We have 18 schools here in Delaware that have programs. Making a difference in the lives of over almost 1,000 students, I guess, with and without disabilities. And we're also seeing, and we get feedback from advisors in the schools, we're hearing that it's changing school culture. It is helping the general ed students recognize that there's friendship is important. It's certainly helping individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities feel more a part of the school. And I don't know, McCain has a fabulous program.
Yes, they do.
And every year we hear great stories about the connections that the students have made. And then it gets bigger than that. It gets school wide, and then it gets community wide, and it's more than just friendship. It's important. And then we're in a match, and I introduce you to my circle of friends. You introduce me to your circle of friends, and all of a sudden, barriers are being broken down. And in the ideal world, we don't have we don't recognize the differences. We pay attention to the abilities and the things we have in common.
Okay, great. Now you mentioned you referred to them as programs in the schools. Are there chapters set up, or are there like adult-run programs that recruit students to be part of the program?
It's a school club.
Okay.
And it would require support from the administration, and then we'd identify a teacher who would serve as an advisor, a faculty advisor on the general ed side, and a special ed advisor on the special education side, and they would work together to help recruit, identify student leaders that would then become our officer corps. And then essentially it's a student-driven club. We've got great students in every school, as you know. Let's identify them, and some of them may have a connection to the world of intellectual and developmental disabilities, which is great. And then they drive the program. They decide, okay, what do we want to do then there's sort of a whole process of building the club, and it's it's an interest meeting of identifying other students that want to be involved, that then the idea is they're all matched up in the program. And oftentimes we have more general ed students than we do special ed students to match, which is the good
that's
news.
nice.
Absolutely. And they can be involved with some fundraising or some public awareness or setting up activities, because there is a commitment as well. It's not you show up and okay, today we're going to have fun or not have fun. There's a commitment, especially when you're matched. It's works throughout the academic year, and the expectation is that you're communicating with your buddy at least once a week. That could be text, it could be Instagram, it could be whatever they're communicating in the hallway,
Right.
talking even, whatever mechanism they use to
Talking.
communicate. I know, it's crazy talk, and then get together outside of school when possible once a month, and that's how they, as in any friendship, that's how you're going to build that foundation. And then, we talk about during the academic year, but friendships typically don't end on some date when students leave,
Right.
for summer vacation. So they come back the next year, and they may, if those students are there, they may be matched again. But regardless of that, they've built a friendship.
Okay, great. I'm certain that the program benefits both students, the regular ed and the special ed student. Can you talk a little bit about what those benefits are to each group?
Sure. On the special education side, this is the individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities who are often, or I shouldn't say often, and schools do a great job integrating and mainstreaming that population, but often it's just, again, I said often, not necessarily often, but if it's just during the school day and then all these students go in different directions, then we want to build that more than just sort of a school friendship. Let's see if we can push that beyond the bounds of school.
Okay.
So for the individuals, our buddies, individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, they're building capital on, so that when they do leave the school, they may have developed some social skills that then
Right.
will connect to their world wherever they go home to. They feel their self-esteem is enhanced when they have friends in school.
So they feel more a part of the school if they have.
Absolutely, all that stuff, and I don't have the data at my fingertips, but I'm quite sure that then they are going to do better in school, feel better about being at school, less dropout. We're reducing the bullying because they're feeling like they're fitting in. And on the general education side, again, students are so focused, as well they should be, on academics, but we want well-rounded students, and those students, the general ed students who become a part of this, are often telling us, "Oh, I think I get more out of it than my buddy does," and they're also learning leadership skills. They're learning to be an advocate for a population that is. It has challenges. They are, I mentioned leadership skills, our officer corps, we do training for them to help them run a meeting, time management, meeting management, setting up an event, promotion, moving this whole thing from school, within the school walls, which is great, into the community and beyond. So it's important to both sides. And we do see differences, and I mentioned the college program. We have the ideal would be a middle school program that feeds into a high school program with a chapter, and all those same students are now feeling comfortable with each other and essentially are friends. And then our high schoolers that move on to colleges, where we have college programs, we continue to build it at the college level.
There's probably been some lifelong friends made through the program.
Oh, absolutely, and we are fortunate that often we hear from folks who are still matched, and we do have a program for our adults. The challenge for our adult population is they leave the support system of the school, and either they're working or not working, but they're there just aren't the same opportunities in a lunchroom or walking through the hallways in a corporate setting or business world as there is in the school. So it's even more important. I think there's more is equal value, but and challenging as well to identify volunteers from the community to match up with our adults, and those are the friendships we hear about that just last a long time, and they introduce one another to their families, and it grows there that way.
You mentioned McCain, which we always appreciate. But do you want to talk a little bit about like what some of the schools that have more active chapters in the state?
McCain is an active chapter. They're doing a great job. I think the difference is, or the difference between some of our some chapters and those higher achieving chapters is the input and support that the advisors are able to provide, and also the great student leaders that we're able to identify that then will take it and run with it. Schools up and down the state, Cape Henlopen High School has a terrific program. Middletown probably has the strongest of all, and it's the stability of the teachers, it's the stability of the administration, and then the recognition that we need this is a good program, and let's make sure that we manage it properly so that we can sustain it. But it comes down to the students, and again, we have great students in every school. A lot of our students are also involved with all of the other things, which is good and bad. Those are the students that that are making the difference. Other school, and we have other programs. Cap Calloway has a program. Wilmington Friends has a program where there are not students with special needs necessarily in their buildings, but we've created that specific model is called a promoter chapter. And what we do with those guys is, again, it's education, it's advocacy, it's disability awareness. In fact, when you don't have individuals with disabilities within your school walls, how are you going to learn and recognize and accept and respect if you don't find out about that? So the promoters chapters, that one of their responsibilities is, okay, let's put on a disability awareness program for school-wide, or let's take our students and go out and do some volunteer work for individuals with intellectual and development, either for or with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we're, it's education on that way as well.
Okay. And forgive me if you've already mentioned this, but do you have a sense of how many students are served by the program in the state?
The individuals in our program, we count about 1,000.
Okay.
And that's an annual number, both our students and adult programs. And then that sort of rolls over each year. So over the course of a year, and we've been in we've had a program in Delaware since 2008-2009 school year. It multiplies for every year that the students graduate. I mean, that's another class coming in. So there's thousands of folks that have been members of the Best Buddies chapters during our existence here.
Nice. How can people get involved or help?
If you are a student, hopefully you're watching this, and it sounds interesting, connect with us and let's communicate with their administration to open a chapter. Okay. Which we want to do. If you are a parent, either a parent of an individual with or without intellectual disabilities, same thing. Let's communicate with the school administration, see if we can present our program to the schools. For an individual who's just interested in volunteering for our organization, we do have special events, including the Blue Gold All-Star Basketball Games. We have a friendship walk during the year. We are, connect with other events during the year. Call us, contact us. We have needs for volunteers. If you are a teacher and either on the general ed side or special ed side, would love to talk to you about getting your school involved or a school involved, whether it's yours or your son or daughters.
Okay.
But we'd love to. We want to grow the program. We recognize there is a need. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be here.
Sure.
So again, schools are doing great things for our students with special needs on the education, even on the leadership, and certainly on the inclusion side. But our unique time-tested program is the one-to-one friendships.
Okay.
That then research shows supports greater growth, faster growth, and certainly the connection with the general ed students as well.
Okay, and we'll put up your website and phone number for people who want to get involved.
Great.
How important is the Blue Gold Games and events like this to your program?
you mentioned earlier this being a fundraiser, and it is. It supports our year-round budget, which is great, but it's also a great opportunity to generate awareness for both Best Buddies, for our population, in addition to the unique opportunity that we have to build a bridge between the All-Stars and Best Buddies.
Nice.
Because many of these All-Stars are coming from around the state. We don't have programs in every state, so they're what our goal among the goals for the game are to educate the All-Stars about our population. And they're seniors, so it's not like they're going to bring the program back to their school this year, but it's just education. And maybe they do something when they go to college or post-secondary or Del Tech or wherever they or to an employer. Where they leave high school and they're going to work, and they say to the employer, I met an awesome individual at the Blue Gold Games who's involved with Best Buddies, and he was not working. I think he could do this job. I mean, so it's a lot of awareness, which is great. And Larry Kimmel, who you had on earlier, a terrific person, and I don't think he mentioned this, so I wanted to mention that the Blue Gold basketball was started by his father, Mort Kimmel.
No, he didn't mention that.
And Larry is certainly stepping into big shoes, and the Kimmel Carter law firm is a huge partner in this. So kudos to them for starting it.
Okay.
It was sort of an outgrowth of Blue Gold football, which was put on by an organization, DFRC, another amazing organization here in Delaware. And I've worked in other states, and there are no organizations like DFRC in other states. So that's a feather in the cap of Delaware. And so the football game provides their fundraising provides support to organizations like us. And but the Blue Gold it's really unique. I'm a sports guy, so I enjoy it. But it gives us the opportunity to bring two sort of organizations together that wouldn't necessarily come together. The All-Stars, who are your top athletes in the school or around the state, and our population of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we think are the top folks in the state, but everybody doesn't recognize that yet.
Right.
So the practices, we have our buddies available to talk at the practices, and they come with us. We've got a chapter at Dover High School, and some of their chapter members come over to our Dover Day to interact with the players there. And certainly on Saturday, a lot of our volunteers are from our adult program and our school programs, whether they're coming out and volunteering and then watching, or just coming out and enjoying the whole thing. It's a great opportunity to again build bridges across segments of the population that we wouldn't necessarily meet otherwise.
Okay, great. Well, again, that date for the game is March 17. So if you want to have a fun day and benefit a great cause, Best Buddies Delaware. We'll put the number up there for where you can get tickets. And thank you for coming in today. And
If somebody is Larry mentioned that it was on St. Patrick's Day. If you are not able to come to the games, there's a mechanism on our website where you can buy 2 tickets, and we will donate them, or they will be donated to members of our organization or
nice.
Others. The Kimmel Carter law firm has always donated tickets to the Boys and Girls Clubs, donated tickets to the YMCA, donated tickets to the Catholic Youth Ministries basketball programs, young and old. So it's, we just want people to come out and enjoy the day. If those folks watching that may not be available, there's still an opportunity for you to support the event, and then we would give their tickets.
A lot of the buddies go to the games?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got entertainment. Again, Larry mentioned we it's basketball, and folks who like basketball and high school basketball, they're obviously the target audience. But we've got entertainment. We'll have cheerleaders. Actually, the McCain cheerleaders are coming to perform, which they've done before. They're great. We had a couple of bands that performed last year, high school marching bands. We've got a kid zone for the families that have players, and they may have younger kids that are coming, face painting and inflatables. And so it's a family friendly. Come for a couple hours. Come for the whole day. It's a fun, exciting event.
It's a good thing.
Great, yes.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
for coming
Thanks,
in today.
Appreciate
And please stay with us. When we come back, I'll let you know a little bit about some Red Clay events coming up. Thank you.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay.
God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hi, and welcome back to News You Can Use. We have a couple of upcoming events in the district that we wanted to tell you about. On March 13, there will be a career and college fair. This is our 9th annual, and we've done for the last 9 years, we've had representatives from more than 50 or 60 regional colleges and universities to help students and parents through the college application process, from filling out applications, financial aid, various seminars on letting you set up your child's future. This year, however, what we've done is added career to the fair, and there'll be representatives from a number of industries and companies in Delaware who can talk to young people about what prerequisites they would need to get a job in that career. So we're hoping that that's a very successful event, and you can find more information on that on our website at redclayschools.com. Also coming up, we have another annual event. This is the Red Clay Hall of Fame Gala, and it's in its 3rd year. This is an evening where the district recognizes and thanks administrators, teachers, and community members who have made it their life's work to support the students and the schools of Red Clay. So the dinner is open to the public, and tickets are still available. You can also look at our website for information on how to get a ticket to that dinner. It's a very fun event. On March 27, in our continuing series of concerts highlighting students throughout the system, we'll have our elementary school concert at the Cab Calloway Theater, 7 p.m. Again, that's March 27. So I hope you enjoyed our show today, where we talked about Blue Gold basketball and how you might become involved with Best Buddies. And until next time, this is News You Can Use. Thank you very much.